Woods Runner, Chapter 17. Darkness. Like the inside of a dead cow, there had been a sliver of a moon, but clouds covered it, and with them came a soft rain, enough to make everything wet and uncomfortable outside. A godsend. Even drunken soldiers didn't like to be out in the rain. Abner and Samuel had gone by the sugar mill just before dark to look it over. Samuel's mother had been right. Only one door was being used, and two guards stood there talking. One had a chair. There was a small roof over the entry to keep the rain off. The building was strangely quiet. If there are hundreds of men packed inside, Samuel thought, there should be more noise. They walked past the guards, who paid them no mind, and down alongside the building. Now and then they could hear scuffling and thumping against the wall on the inside, but nothing else. When they had walked completely past the building, they crossed the street and came back on the other side. Because of the rain, there weren't many soldiers along the walkways, and no one bothered them. They went along the river to a point close to where Matthew could come across, and then moved into some trees along the bank. It was starting to get dark. Abner pulled a small, oil-soaked bag from inside of his coat and took out a watch. 7:30. He put the watch back, settled down against a tree, hunched up the collar of his coat. Try, try to get a little sleep, because later tonight there won't be any time, or there won't be any. How are you going to do it? Samuel asked. Get him out. Simple plans are the best, Abner said. Did you see all the bricks around the steps? They probably had more of a porch than the place was new. Now the bricks have all fallen down. I'll distract the guard, and you take a brick and hit him over the head. That's your plan? Samuel stared at him. What if both guards are there? Abner said, I'll be ready for them. You just do your part. Samuel still stared. We've come this far, and you tell me to just hit him over the head with a brick? Hard, Abner added. Hit him hard over the head. Hard. Then we open the door, grab your father, and run like, I can't say that word. Or as fast as we can go. Scoop up your mother, get in the boat, get across the Hudson, hook up the mules, get in the wagon, and head out. A good, simple plan. And in the end, that's exactly the way it worked. Almost. Samuel surprised himself. After an hour of his thoughts tumbling over each other without sense or reason, in spite of the rain, a veil slipped over his mind, and he slept, leaning against the same tree as Abner. Let's get to it. Abner shook him awake, close to midnight. Samuel rubbed his face and stood. Abner was gone in the darkness, and Samuel had to hurry to catch up. Their path took them past the house where Samuel's mother worked. She was already outside and saw them approach. I'm coming with you, she said softly as they neared. To help. No, hold here. We'll be back, Abner whispered. Shortly. As they walked closer to the sugar mill, Abner took off his coat, wrapped it so that it seemed he was carrying a bundle. There was a tiny glow from a lantern near the guard, the kind with a small candle inside and a slit to let out a sliver of light. It was enough for Samuel to see some bricks. He picked one up before they moved within range of the guard. Halt, the guard said as he saw them. Samuel held the brick behind him. State your purpose. Bringing food, Abner said, holding up a bundle for the prisoners. Advance. The guard stepped forward, interested in the package. They climbed the steps to the entrance, Abner in front of the guard and Samuel slightly to the side, gripping the brick. Abner held the bundle out. The guard put the butt of his musket on the ground to free one hand to open the package. He leaned forward. Abner said in a soft conversational tone, Now, Samuel. And Samuel hit the guard with the brick, hard. A moment's hesitation, Then the guard fell. Abner caught him, slid him off to the side of the door, laid him on the platform, and turned to the door. Padlocked. He swore. Gently, delicately, he worked the keys off the guard's belt and unlocked the door. He flung it open. Samuel's father was in the doorway, and even in the dim glow, Samuel could see that he was in bad shape. Face skull like, eyes sunken. He almost fell into Samuel's arm, but he wasn't alone. 30, 40 more men were waiting with him, and as soon as he was outside, they piled out, scattering like quail, a stream of prisoners, thin as cadavers, pouring out of the shed in a strange silence, moving off in all directions. Come, Abner took Samuel's father's arm. No time. With Abner on one side and Samuel on the other, it was getting exciting. They carried Samuel's father, toes dragging through the darkness. Samuel's mother was waiting and hurried over to help. Twice they tripped and stumbled into the darkness, but they were fast up and moved as rapidly as possible where Matthew would be with the boat. He wasn't there. I'll look up and down the bank, Abner said. Stay here and watch. He vanished upstream in the darkness. Minutes that seemed like hours passed before he came back. Nothing. I'll check downstream. Again, an interminable time while the three of them stood in silence. Abner came back shaking his head. Are you sure, Matthew? Samuel started to ask. They heard a dull thump in the darkness on the water, and then Matthew's voice. Here, over here. Caught a crab of wind on the way over that kicked me downstream. Had to tack back up here, over here. They found the boat almost by feel out in a foot of water. Samuel carried his father to the side and he fell into the boat. He needs help, Samuel said. Get him up and in the cabin. Please help him. Matthew pulled him into the cabin, then helped Samuel's mother onto the boat and into the cabin as well. Abner jumped in and Matthew pulled up the sail, which filled in the freshening breeze. He said to Samuel, push off as you come aboard. Samuel did so, tripped, flopped into the mud and water, lost the boat, and was nearly left behind. In one lunge, he caught the gunwale. The boat was picking up speed rapidly, pulled himself up and in, nearly fell in Abner's lap. Right then, the world ashore went berserk. A gunshot, another. Lighted torches could be seen in the vicinity of the sugar mill, carried every which way. You didn't, Abner said, hit him hard enough. I thought I killed him. He raised the alarm. It matters not at all, Matthew said. We're away from the light. Torches won't cast out here. Besides, they're looking in all directions. A passel of other men came out at the same time. They went all over. Abner sighed and leaned back, resting. It was good fortune. Fortune favors the well-prepared, Matthew said. He stood back from the bucket where he was sitting and took out a package wrapped in cloth. Emily sent beef sandwiches and milk mixed with rum. Rum? Samuel asked. Milk and rum? Heats the blood, makes the food go in better. It's not for you, but your father. Here. Hand it in the cabin. Tell him to eat slow or he'll lose it. Samuel took the package and moved into the cabin. If possible, it was darker inside than it was outside. Mother? Father? Here, his mother said, as he felt a hand on his arm. Father's next to me. I'm here, his father said. Samuel, I am so thankful to see you. Small laugh. Well, I can't see you at all, my son. I never dreamed you were still alive, much less that you would win me my freedom in this bold manner. His voice was faint. Hold your hand out. Samuel fumbled in the package and pulled out a sandwich. Matthew brought the food. He held the sandwich out in the void, felt a hand grasp it. He heard his father wolfing it. Eat slowly, or Matthew says you'll lose it. He fished a small lidded crock out of the package. Here's some more milk mixed with rum. He says it will make the food go down better. The chewing slowed as he held the crock out in the darkness, felt his mother's hand take it. Here, she said, I've got it. Samuel, who are these men? We owe them so much, and we don't even know them. They're friends, Abner and Matthew. Matthew owns the boat. We met Abner on the way. Yes, you have a daughter. What? You'll meet her soon when we get to the wagon. Her name is Annie. She, well, she needs us. It's been part of this run. He took a few moments to tell them the part about Annie, without too many details of the Hessian attack. It was too terrible to describe. Then she's our daughter, his mother said in a firm voice. From now on, as good as blood. His father stopped chewing, swallowed, drank some rum and milk mixture. Food. Food. When you haven't had it for a while, it tastes as sweet as anything you'd ever eaten. Tell Mr. Matthew thank you. You're very welcome, Matthew said from the tiller, which was only 6 feet away. I'll tell Emily you like her food. Like it. It's life itself. I feel guilty, though, Samuel's father whispered. So many men in that shed, and other sheds starving, and I get food. It is the way of it, Abner put in from the darkness. Of war, some get, some don't. Some live, some don't. It's the way of it. It's bad. Yes, it is. But it's our lot now, and we must live it. Abner sighed. The best we know how. And with that, there was silence the rest of the way across the river, broken only by the lap of water on the side of the boat. Chapter 17, Communication, Treatment of Prisoners of War. Prisoners were given only 1 cup of water a day below decks. The rations issued only in the morning, and only half of those received by British soldiers were largely inedible, leftover food from England that was old, stale, and in many cases, rotten. It was not until the 19th century that supplies for captives were expected to be provided by their captors. During the Revolutionary War, their own army, government, and families attempted to provide for the prisoners. So, pretty terrible, pretty awful side of war.